So I have closed the breakout session, Anurata.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Pranjal. Thank you. I think it worked. So
Sorry.
I also tried it for the first time. I think it worked. Thank you. Are we all back?
So I
Anurata,
think
you can share your screen now.
a couple of people dropped out. I do not know why. Is it because of the breakout session? Um, but yes, let's go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Pranjal. Thank you for your cooperation here. So, and thanks, guys, for being a part of this. So, this was just a brainstorming session, and for the next 5 minutes, we will probably like discuss what we got after reading the transcripts. So, I would ask any of you to like unmute yourself and speak a few words of how you felt and what you felt while you read and scrutinized the transcript. Anyone? Um,
Anyone willing to sharing his thought about reading the transcription?
okay. Yes.
Actually, yeah, so this is Vinita.
Hi,
So
Vinita.
I just read the first transcript
Mm-hmm.
and just got very basic information about the person wanting some amount of information and suggestions, but in which
Mm-hmm.
direction was not very clear about like the app. And there was it's I really couldn't see too much information coming out, but
Mm-hmm.
those were the two kind of key things that popped out of the whole conversation that I read. So these are my
Mm-hmm.
first thoughts, really. Yeah, just
Okay.
customization
Mm-hmm.
and and it is a person, like, there is an intent, but
Mm-hmm.
after they resources to be able to be a more effective
Mm-hmm.
climate change person, where they're really trying to do some recycling or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no particular input in terms of what they would want. They would want suggestion, but not beyond that, like, can I do this specifically, or give me access to this kind of information. That detail level of information was not there, but there was a sense of willingness that I could sense. That's all. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's mostly it. Mm,
Got it. Thank you
thank you.
so much. Thank you so much. So, this was about the transcript one. So, anyone who wanna share about transcript two? I think we will talk 1 more minute about it, and then we can go on to our next session. Anyone willing to talk about transcript two?
So I have an impression on transcript one that when I first saw the transcript, I think it is little bit hard to read because
Mm-hmm.
things are not clean. So there are a lot of that so's and some wordings which is continuously repeating that we generally use when we talk.
Mm-hmm.
But I found there are certain themes emerging from it. For example, in the first transcript, the user is trying to say that he loves the analytics of his users and of his work in trying to uh, uh, help in climate change. So he loves
Mm-hmm.
to see those analytics in the app, how he's growing and in what ways he could grow better. So yeah, so I believe these transcripts will help emerging certain things,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it could also be cleaned, and if we have a software to clean it, that will be
Mm-hmm.
better for understanding.
Right. All
Thank you.
right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, thanks for your observations and thanks for taking the time to go through these and like share your views. So, we didn't get to know anything about the transcript two, but we heard a couple of comments about transcript one. So we heard that the user is focusing on customization, and though it's not pretty much detailed, he or she wishes to like see the analytics of his or her usage, and these were the most prominent findings or most prominent themes underlying in the transcripts. So, as the second speaker was just saying, that probably it could be cleaned better. So, we see that when we are doing it with a pen and a paper or with a very plain software like Microsoft Word, we don't actually have any option to like clean anything that we are given or like cluster anything that we are given to specifically say that this is a major portion that has been a record throughout the transcript or throughout the interview session. So you see there is something missing here. And also, what if I told you that there are like 50 of them, or like more than that, or like probably 60 of those transcripts? So you see, there would be too much information because right now we just did this on only one transcript, and we found that there are probably too much information or not, depending on the interviews, and the interviews are not always perfect, right? And even if the interview is perfect, whenever you are using this Otter.ai software, which actually converts the speech to text, there are many noises, there are many unnecessary words, and there are all the colloquial terms are there in it. So there are too much information, there are too much noise, right? And it is also hard to remember the key things from an interview unless you like group them, and there is an automated system to group these things for you. So whenever you find a keyword, or whenever you find a key thing that would help you to like subgroup the transcript into specific themes, you won't be able to do that because it would be hard to remember, right? It could be transcript of 20 pages maybe. So me and Anik, we were once affiliated with a project which used to produce transcripts of over 30 pages each. So that's like too much information and hard to remember. And there you need a way to store and compare the data. So what if you have a follow-up project, right? So you need some way to store what the information uh, you got from the previous study, right? So there should be a structure. So that is where the digital version of this qualitative coding comes in. So when we are starting with Atlas.ti, but I just wanted to make sure that we understand why we need such a software, right? So it may occur to us that we are able to do it like with our brain and a pen and a paper, but probably not in our real life. It's much bigger than that. So that is why we need a digital version of said content, and that's where we will discuss about the qualitative coding. And I guess Anik will do that for us, what it is
Sure,
and everything.
sure. Uh, Before dive into the coding analysis in Atlas.ti, first I want to share what is qualitative research actually. So for qualitative research, first we need to find our area of interest. Then we to study the research background and need to make research question. Then we need to design the study. We need IRB approvals for the project. Need to make consent from. We must care about the ethics in qualitative research. Then we need to take sign in consent paper before taking the interview and complete it. This is the data. This is the data. Actually, this is the data collection process. Then we need to do analysis with this data. Need to do literature review. Need to add quotations in findings that we coded. Anurata, can you please go to the next slide?
You can navigate as well. Yeah.
So after data collection, we will start our coding. There are several ways of coding. We will discuss it on the other slide. You can take individual interview, focus group interview, but if it is very important that after every interview you need to brainstorm that after coming back in your workplace and note your observation and findings regarding the interview in a doc or in a notebook, because you might forget the valuable information after passing some days. Also, you need to study the interview audio and transcription several times. Then you need to start your coding. So this is the way we actually coded. So can you please? Yeah. So here is here are some definitions of coding from two great researchers. We include the book name in the reference section. You can go through this book for better coding. This book is highly recommended for to efficient for to do efficient code. So if you say what is coding, then I will answer that what I understand about code is simply the object you use to label segment in your data. This is what I understand about the code. If I want to say methodologically speaking about code, then I like to say a code can be a category. It can be a theme. It can be an attribute. Also, it can be a property or a dimension. So there is a term about thematic ideas. So thematic analysis thematic analysis is a pattern or a pattern of meaning within a same data. So on the next slide, please.
Yeah.
You can.
Yes. So we just came to know what coding is actually. I mean, we just Anik explained to us like qualitative data is that huge amount of data that is generated from the focus group interviews or the individual interviews or surveys or anything like that. So we already know that there is no specific structure to the qualitative data. So they needed to be like put into a specific structure, and we need to do it without um, like um, reducing the meaning of the data. So where is it? Pointer. Okay. So we need to do it without reducing the data and not losing the meaning of the data. And for that, we need to do something that actually captures the significant ideas or issues. And hello, is there something wrong? Is it visible, guys?
No, your screen is you have some green dot in your skin. So
I'm
Green screen is coming in front of us.
sorry about that.
yeah. Now it's
Okay.
visible.
All right, thanks. Sorry about that. I didn't know why that happened. So, as I was saying, we need to like structure the data, the qualitative data, without letting it lose the meaning, the true meaning, and the true essence of the data. So, we want to capture the significant ideas or issues. That is our first priority, and for that, we have to make sure that we are not actually losing the main essence. So that's the first point. And the second point is to understand the phenomenon. And the third one is to developing the categories and the themes. And the fourth one is developing a theory. So let me give you an example to go through these four steps. So from my personal experience or my personal story, like the project I talked to you about, it was about and teachers of autism schools in Bangladesh. We interviewed them once, and from those interviews the one information was recurring, and it was that the one teacher said that while the kid is with them in the school, they're performing better, but when they're going home they're not taken much care of, and hence they're not performing well. So this was a specific finding from one particular participant. Another participant also said that since in school there is a structure, there is a routine they have to follow, they are performing better. They're performing well in schools during the school duration. But after that, when they're going home, the parents are not taking good care of them, and hence, then they're underperforming. So from this two data, we can say that there is a similar pattern that the teachers are saying that the school has a routine, the school has a regime, right? So that's kind of the significant idea that we want to seek here. And after we get that information without losing any prime data from those transcripts, we come to the point that there is a specific phenomenon, and that's for Bangladesh only, right? So probably because we cannot actually generalize from our observations, because we are actually doing the study on a specific group of people, so we cannot generalize on anything. So our second point is to understand that phenomenon. And from that, we can develop a category and a theme. So we can say that the teachers in the autism schools in Bangladesh, they have the specific notion that there is a conflict between the parents and the teachers. And again, I'm only telling this based on the two transcripts that we read. That I just talked about. So there could be multiple themes, but there should be one big theme, right? And from all those themes, we can like develop a theory. That's optional. So we can develop a theory that from all these like significant ideas that we got from reading the transcripts, there is this specific recurring theme that we got, and that will help us to like provide a hypothesis. All right. So that hypothesis would be based on the transcripts, based on that specific group of people about a specific like observation that we made. So to like actually explain that further, there are the four steps. So the first step of qualitative coding is primary or first cycle analysis. So what we just did here in the first 10 minutes of the session, that was part of the primary analysis. So while we did that, we actually formed some rough ideas, right? So when we talked about, the two people from the audience, while they shared, um, hello,
Again, green skin actually.
why is that happening? Is it okay?
Uh,
I think it's visible now.
you need to in presentation mode.
Hmm. I hate these technical issues. Can you click on present for me? I cannot for some
Yeah,
reasons. I think.
so clicked. Let's see.
Because I think you have to first convert your clicker into mouse.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. So, why is that green screen? Is it okay now?
Yeah, yeah. It's visible.
So the first step that we went through was primary analysis. So we talked about some specific key points that I mean some specific observations that we made from that climate change transcripts. So that's a part of the primary analysis. So we form some rough ideas and then we reiterate. So the secondary or the second cycle analysis gives us the opportunity to identify the categories. All right. So if we go through all these transcripts again, we might be able to find some patterns. All right. And that will help us to identify the categories. Right. And then the third step is thematic analysis. So we will have a bunch of categories then. All right. A bunch of codes, which we will explain a little bit later. So those codes will help us cluster the themes. Okay, so the themes are something that is bearing the core idea of the whole transcript. Okay, and then the theory development, it's something like proposing a theory or a hypothesis. And again, we do not mean to generalize, so it's only an observation based on that specific group of population, and we have to make sure that we keep that in mind while writing the paper and also while discussing the results with anyone. So this is a visualization of what it is all about. So this is coding, the first step. Then we sort the codes, and then synthesize them into some bunch of themes, and then we make a theory out of them. So codes, categories, themes, and theory. So we will go ahead and show you an example here, and we want to give you a heads up that we are doing an open coding here, and there are focus coding and pattern coding when you go through the iterations. But we will show you the way of open coding here, and before that, Anik, before I go to the hands-on section, Anik will give you an overview of Atlas.ti.
Sure. I think you guys can share your Gmail so that we can invite you to the project in Atlas.ti. So you can share your Gmail in your mail in the chat box. So Anurata, you need to send invitation for them.
Okay.
Okay. So let's dive into the Atlas.ti coding. So why Atlas.ti actually? So in my sense, here in Atlas.ti, you can create a user-friendly UI. Everything is super easy. And secondly, you can do open coding. You can do coding while you read the transcription. So you can read and transcript. So you can read and coding. You can read and coding. So and thirdly, you can get the quick coding advantage here. After one entry of a code, you will get automatic suggestion about coding, so you don't need to memorize the codes. So they will give a automatic code suggestion after you enter one code. Fourthly, the thing is you can also merge code here. And fifthly, the most effective feature is that real-time collaboration. You can do a team work here in the same time. Also, you can differ who did the code. So if you want to know who did the code, you just need to click on the code and you can have an idea about who did the code. Seventh, so uh, is, last one is Atlas.ti is very easy to edit codes. So if you think you cannot edit your code, so you are wrong. This is super easy in Atlas.ti to edit any code. Also, you can remove codes easily if you need. If you think this one is wrong, so you can also remove the code. So you can use the trial version. It is free, but you don't get the full feature in the free mode. To get all the free feature, you need to buy the software. So this is the initial course code. So to start before start your coding in Atlas.ti, you need to create a spreadsheet first and need to input course name in the spreadsheet. If different people use different codes for a same class of quotation, then it will be very hard to find. To do same code, we need to do this. Here we prepare 4 sections. First one is coding title. Here you write first one is coding title. Uh, Here you write your code name so everyone can copy and paste to make the same code name. Second one is meaning of the coding. Here you will explain the code meaning. For an example, there is two ways. One is H1 and another one is H2. So H1 is the interviews age and H2 is interviews children or children's age. So you need to clear that in this section. So where it is you need to clear this in this section. Third one is example. For clarification, you can put examples here. And third one is contributor. If anyone feel any hesitation about any code, then he can contract the contribution so that the contributor can give a brief idea about that. So first you need to make a spreadsheet like this. This is the way we actually coding. Uh, Next. Uh, uh, Here is the UI of Atlas.ti. You can see this UI after sign up. So can you next? Yeah. So after clicking on clicking on creative new project button, you can create a new project from here. So you can just put the name and put the description and just create click here and your project will be created. Next one. Uh, oh. So after creating the project, you can add documents here. You can add several documents here. I recommended add Word and TXT file. In cloud version, sometimes PDF make some troubles. Next, please. Oh, so after adding the documents, you can invite your team members so that they can collaborate with you. You can do parallel coding at Atlas.ti by sending them invitation. Next one, please. Uh, So you can create code after selecting your desired quotation. After selecting your desired quotation, uh, you will get an uh, uh, code quotation promote here. So next one, you need to put your code name here, then need to click on done. After doing this, your desired code is created. Next one. select a specific code. If you want to select, you can see here are many codes here. All the text with shadow is code. So if you want to select one, you just need to click on code or just quotation, and there you can see the quotation. You can see the quotation in highlighted mode. Sure. Next one. Uh, in the left side, you can see some icons. First one is document manager. So here is the list of all documents you added. So you can get all the documents here. Next one. The second one is the list of code. Here you can get all the codes you have. Also, you can see which code has how many quotations. Next one. uh, and third one is quotation manager. You can see the quotation manager here. Here are all the codes. You can see the maximum number of codes first and vice versa. So this is the maximum number of codes, and actually it's decreasing. The number of codes is decreasing. So you can click one of the codes and you can get all of them in a same place. Next one. Uh, you can see respected codes all in one by clicking the codes. So it is the easiest way to get all the codes in the same time you need. Uh, okay, Anurata, you can go to the hands-on section now. I think everybody give their email address.
Yeah, I have started to add them, and I couldn't actually add them all, and I need you to like go to your email inbox and probably accept the invitation. I think that's what you have to do.
Sure.
And Anik, could you like add the rest of our audience?
Yeah, sure,
I
sure,
have
sure, sure, sure,
added
sure,
up to Meghna.
sure.
If you can, I have added up to Meghna. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and share the screen of Atlas.ti because that's that won't harm. While you guys go for do you see it?
Oh no, sir. Sorry. Only you can invite the members.
Okay,
I can.
okay. I think we can do that. Even if it's late, I will do that. But I want to like go through how to do it by sharing the screen, and hope you will be able to like see for yourself. Okay. So so what actually Anik told us about. So this is the document manager, where we added the transcripts. For now, we have two transcripts, and we added those two here. So the transcript one, I kind of did the coding, but not all of it. So we can do it together if we want. So so this was the transcript one. So as we already know, it was not very much detailed, but we have to make sure that whatever we have got as our source, we have to utilize that properly. All right. So as I said, the interviews might not be perfect, super perfect always, but it is our source, and it is our element to like dive deep into the findings. So this was the interviewer who was saying, "Hi, I'm interviewer and I'm an HCI student." So, as part of his class project, he is developing an app. So he wanted to interviewee to create awareness for climate change, and he wanted to see whether the mobile application that he is developing uh, can actually modify people's behavior, so that they improve the climate by reducing their carbon footprint. So that was actually their goal. So while we are reading the transcript, we have to make sure that we are keeping those two lines in mind. And by doing that, we will start. So the interviewee says that he or she is a graduate student. So what we do is we will just select it, and then we will see that add code to quotation. Okay. So like Onyx said, there are spreadsheet of initial codes that we will create. I mean that's how we function. That's how we do it. So we create a spreadsheet because there are probably multiple people working on the same transcript. There could be if there are like multiple team members in a single project. So there's a certain possibility that one team member is conducting the interview, someone else is transcribing it, and someone else is coding it. So there has to be some coherence, right? So why it is only possible to like make the summary only when we all come to an agreement that this is what these codes mean. All right. So what if we write here education? Sorry, education, right? So we created this new code and we create this quotation. So there could be a possibility that for some other, some other transcripts, there is some similar information about the education of the participant, and the person who is doing the coding has some different codes named against it. So probably he or she has written educational qualification. So as long as we know that these codes actually refer back to the same idea we proposed for initial codes. So we have to make sure that there is a coherence. All right. So we cannot actually name them differently, even if we are following different methods or different trends. We have to make sure that the codes are named similarly in similar fashion. So that's the education, and that's the age, right? So we will do it in the same way. Write age, okay? And then to create quotation. So you see, are you aware? The interviewee says that, yes, I'm quite aware. So we will go ahead and like highlight the whole response. All right, that will help us in the later part to actually find out the findings. So what is it about? It's about the awareness response, right? Like I said, I already did some of the coding part. So this is awareness response. I create the quotation. All right. And then this is what I already did before. So what I did is I selected this whole thing and put it against awareness response. And we can also there can also be overlaps of quotations, which means that the same passage can be regarded for multiple codes. All right, multiple codes. So we can do that in the similar pattern, and when we are done, I'm not trying to like go through the whole document. I think it depends. I mean, coding the document depends on the team behavior and the team cognition and the team pattern. So whenever we come to an understanding that as a team we agree that this is what we want to achieve and this is what we want to mean by this terminology, only then we will make sure that this is how it functions. So from the document manager, we see the documents, and from the code manager, like we said, these are the codes that we created. All right. So we see that the age and education clearly they sound like the demography of the participant, right? So from age and education, this can be clustered into one single cluster that can say about the demography of the participant, right? So the age and education, they can be clustered together, like I said. And then there is the app features, where the participants talked about the features they expect out of the application. And then they talked about their awareness and their eagerness to change. So these can be, this can be like coupled together to actually to create a theme that how spontaneous they are, how motivated they are to use the app, and how aware and eager they feel to make a change, right? So after you have after you were done coding with the transcripts, there could be, like I said, 30 or 60 participants in a single study. So this might not be a 4-page thing anymore, you know, when it's a big study. So there you will see there are lots and lots of codes, and which won't this wouldn't have been possible without the software, right? So back when there was no software, people used to like write it on a page, pen and a paper, with a pen and a paper. And then they had to, for the desktop version of Atlas.ti, people needed to make the changes locally on their computer, and they couldn't actually collaborate. So with Atlas.ti Cloud, we can do that. And excuse me. And then you will see that there are so many codes that have been created. And most interestingly, this is the quotation manager. So one important question, or the one interesting query that comes to many of us, that how to actually convert the sorry how to actually convert all these codes into our participant quotes or findings, right? So we see that if we click on something like this app features, we will see that everything that has been talked about by the participants about the application feature has been like compiled here, you see. So the friendly user interface, I believe, is the first thing that was said by the second participant. And then the participant also said that it should be easy to use. And then transcript one, or the participant one, also talked about how it can be transparent, all right, and how the participant two also said that there should be small steps, because he or she doesn't want to like feel buried by the amount of tasks given by the application. And then transcript one also talked about customizing, the option of customizing their profile, and they wanted to see the analytics, and they wanted to see how they're improving, all right. And the the participant one also said that there should be some way that the application is taking the different age groups into account. So we see that there are so many new findings, there are so many novel things that we can find out of here. So all of these statements can be like put as quotes, right? Relevant, if we can refer them back to a summarized passage, like this is what n number of participants talked about this, n number of participants talked about that, and then we can put an evidence by putting the quotes. So we have to remember that the goal of this entire project, whatever project we're involved in, the goal is to solve the problem, right? So the quotations or the quotes, they're only some evidences for the reviewers, right? So our goals should be to to solve the problem, right, and to be honest with our findings. So that's what I believe, that's what we believe as a team. So our priority always has been to find out what actually has been discussed, rather than like only filling out the quotations. And since we do open coding, and since we do the thematic analysis, we go ahead always to find out what themes lie within. So from what I have read so far of these two transcripts, I can find that, or I can say that the users are like backing for a user friendly soft application, where they can also like customize their own needs, and they don't want to feel buried by a machine or by a software or by an application, but they want their analytics to be monitored and scored. So this is kind of roughly the idea that we get, and as we go further and further, we will find that there are more and more things that come out, and depending on the scope of our study, because when the participants are speaking, when they're talking, they talk about a lot of things, right? So we have to dig and take out the what we actually need for our study. So we have to read and practice, right? So if we want to do something good in it, we have to read and practice. So that's what we have been saying here. Our goal, um, the only way to have a better skill at coding is to read and practice. And by doing that, we wanted to make sure that we have ample time for a QA session. But before we end, I just wanted to make sure that these points are well understood. So we have to understand that this could be a group project, this could be a team project. So we need to understand that the transcripts of interviews, taken by other people, we are understanding them well as well. And that is why it's important to agree on the codes with everyone in the team. And we have to make it sound that it's organic, right? It shouldn't be anything imposed. So when we understood that we need a software similar to Atlas.ti, the motivation was that there were loads and loads of data generated from the interviews. So we need a software to take care of this on our behalf, right? So we have to make it sound really natural and organic, right? There shouldn't be anything imposed. And then the quotes, as I said, there are the pieces of evidence for the reviewers, but we have to be honest with our study, and iteration always helps. So it's we did this, for example, if we have done one study 2 years back, uh, it's not possible to remember anything without actually going through it again. So iteration always helps, and probably by reiterating, we can probably gain some new insights to it every time, you know. And so it's really important to read and then do it on your own, make some hands-on experience out of it. And the ultimate goal is, of course, to solve the problem and nothing else. So the whole idea of qualitative coding is structure the qualitative data that generates from talking with the people, talking with the interviewees, talking with the participants about different issues. And then we have to make sure that we are actually doing something that solves the problem, right? So special thanks to Srishti Institute and our supervisors, uh, Nova Ahmed, Shamim Ahmed. And thank you again to Pranjal and Ko. And any questions? We will really appreciate any questions. And we wanted to share our ideas, and we welcome any thoughts that will help us extend our knowledge more. And that's a reference that we have put in the Google Drive. I think the book is really good if you want to get some deeper insights into this whole realm of qualitative coding. This should help. So, and Philip Adu, he was a very renowned professor in this field. So some slides were taken from him, but basically the book was given priority while making the slide. So yeah, any question? Anything? Thank you.
Thank you, Anurata and Anik, for sharing your experience with us. And hopefully, we would need more of these. And hopefully, as per whatever the committee demands, we shall do it once more. So right now, Shrishti Goyal has a question. Shrishti, do you want to speak and ask your question yourself?
Sure. So I understand that you have used Otter as a software for transcribing. If we are conducting interviews in regional languages, would there be any software that you could suggest?
Um, Thank you, Srishti. I think I will take the question on it. So, our first project was in Bangla. That is the official language of Bangladesh. So, for that study, we didn't actually find any software, you know, to like
Right,
convert this all into English. So, what we had to do is like do it manually. So
right.
probably I might be wrong. I would be happy
Okay,
if I'm wrong. I
right.
don't think there is any software or
Mm-hmm.
any helping aid available yet.
Okay, because recently we conducted a study. So for that, we had to do a lot of interviews, and they were pretty lengthy interviews. So I was hoping that I could find some help because eventually we had to do all of it manually.
Hmm.
So that was troublesome. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
have additional questions. So recently, I heard somebody tell me that they used Atlas.ti to undertake a literature review. So, how effective do you think it is? And is that a good way to even do a literature review?
Well, from the top of my head, what I can say that lit review how I mean the way I perceive lit review is we have to like read many like papers and then bring out what's relevant to ours. So
Right.
I'm not entirely sure, I guess, because I don't see any relevance to its application. Probably, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know it yet, but there could be some extra features or some additional preferences about Let's Review and Atlas.ti. But since it's a coding analysis software, I
Right.
haven't actually come across anything like that. But it could be interesting, right? It could be interesting,
Right.
like everything in one software.
Right, that's what I was hoping to hear from you. Anyway, it was really lovely to understand how to use Atlas TI. I've never used it before. I've used softwares like Stata and R. I'm
Mhm.
more been into quantitative research. I'm getting into qualitative research, so I cannot be more thankful to you for this webinar. Thank you so much.
Our
Srishti,
pleasure.
could you
So,
also introduce yourself more? Sorry.
Sure.
yes, please.
I am I've done my education in the realm of economics. So I have done my master's from Delhi University. And after that, I have been working in the social development space. Right now, I'm working as a research associate with Young Lives India. And we have
Oh,
been
that's great.
undertaking different projects for the government and the international organizations like UNICEF. And recently,
Wow.
we concluded one of the qualitative research, which was an evaluation of child protection projects in three of the states of India.
Whoa, that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
And also, Srishti, I could tell you that sometimes we do partial coding. Whenever we are doing a thematic analysis, we just code those parts which we think is like helpful to our study. You know, so
right,
maybe even after sorry, why? I mean, we transcribe only those parts which are relevant to our study, not
right,
coding. So,
right.
if you do not actually want to like do this like tiresome work, you can
Mm-hmm,
think of that. If you all agree as a team, then you can go
mm-hmm,
for like the partial transcription,
right.
and that will help you like kind of minimize your efforts probably because I
Exactly.
know I know it's
That's exactly how we did. We did not have that kind of time to do all the coding, all the transcriptions. So I was hoping if we could have some software that could do it, in regional
Mhm.
language to English transcription, that would be a lot of help. But as of now, even I have not been able to locate one. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks for the question. And also, I just wanted to give a heads up that apart from Atlas.ti, there is also some other software, probably like Envivo or
Right.
some other software. Yeah, that
Hmm.
actually helps us do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Srishti. We have another question from Monisa Kadri.
Yes,
So
please.
before Monisa, you could introduce yourself and ask your question to Anik and Anurata directly.
Yeah, hi. I teach journalism at a university in Kashmir in India. And as I mentioned, I tried using Atlas few years before. Basically, I was trying to, analyze news stories. So there are number of stories that you want to, analyze. So, but then I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't really, continue with it. Wasn't sure, and maybe that surety and that confidence comes after you try your hands at it continuously. As you have been saying, you need to practice it a number of times, and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to master it. Um, I was, I was just hoping that there could be a possibility of hand holding, and if people like you, one amongst you, or maybe somebody from the team could like be there and collaborate on something, maybe we would not just be able to help me learn it, but I guess we could simply work on some project also. And there's so much that I really want to analyze right now,
Mm-hmm.
concerning pandemic or leadership and media reports, and that there is basically a lot of data, whether that's news or even the social media content. So yeah, that was my query. Thank
Thank you. So I think it's good to know that you are doing some research on this. So I think Onik and I, we are always available. I mean, though we are students, we will try our best to help and to like collaborate or anything. So if you want us to like give you any suggestion or act as a helping hand to anything, you can reach us anytime. And the slide is this presentation is shared with everyone, and you guys can have our email address there. So just feel free to like chime in and to just send us an email so we can like do the next. Onik, do
Hello,
you want to say
Monisha.
anything?
I
yeah,
want to
thank you.
add one thing that me, I think, as well as Anurata are free and wanted to do international collaboration. So if you have any project that need to code it, so you can invite us. I think we can help you.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be really nice because, as I said earlier, I haven't been able to, develop that confidence because when I, create codes and then think of themes, I'm like, oh, maybe this might not this might not be correct. So I actually ended up doing something manually. I had like hundreds of stories and I went through them. I read them one by one, and I actually did it on Excel sheets and other whatever I could do, even on my notepads, like the traditional old traditional way. So it was quite time consuming, but at least I was confident that probably this is correct. So that confidence has not been I've not been able to develop that confidence when it comes to Atlas. So yeah, I would really look forward to that. Thank you.
I just have a supplementary question to that. So, when you say that you do not feel that confidence while you're using Atlas.ti, is that because you are using it for the first time or anything, or do you think there's something else?
Hello.
A mix of so many things. Yeah, actually, first time started using the trial version, I think a couple of years back,
Mm-hmm.
and then I really didn't continue using it because obviously it takes a bit of time, and then you have to like code and look at all the paras and sentences. So yeah, maybe first time being a first timer is a factor. And also when it comes to qualitative analysis, there's a preconceived notion that there's an involvement of researcher to that extent, and we haven't really gotten so comfortable with softwares as yet. Although I do, I have,
Mm-hmm.
I have been working on some collaborative projects when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
social media. In fact, one of our recent studies, which got published in Elsevier, and it has been really, taken up very well, even by media and all. They've reported on that study. So, but then I used AI and machine learning.
Mhm.
Obviously, that was slightly complex algorithm. This is slightly different, and this is more of my area. So yeah, you could say that first being a first timer and not really continuing with it, and thinking that, oh, you could actually work on the entire project using Atlas. So
Mhm.
that has not been there. So I do that, acknowledge that.
I got it. Yeah, I kind of share some similar experiences because when I started off, I also felt the same that am I doing it correctly or anything. So my supervisor said that just be honest with what you were trying to find out, and be honest with what you were trying to do, and you don't have to worry about how you do it. So if if you find that instead of Atlas.ti you were doing better when you were doing it manually and then keeping the diaries and everything, I think uh, that would be much better for you. And then, like I said, the transition should be like organic, you know. It's because I felt the lack of something in the traditional method, so that's why I made this transition to Atlas.ti or some relevant software. So that's how I would like to explain it. So you don't have to like force anything, and I mean, unless you feel confident, you don't have to do anything. So you will like grow confident when you are doing it over and over. But if you think that you are getting better results and you are getting like, better experiences by using traditional methods, then I would say that go for it. And when you feel that I need some improvisation here and some intervention of some software here, and then I think then when you go for Atlas.ti and some other software, that would be more organic and it'd be more natural, and then I hope you would like them better.
Yeah, I totally want to use it now. I'm like so excited and looking forward, especially after this session and all. And knowing that everyone, I mean, all of you have been, using it so nicely and all. So I do want to use it now. So I feel that organic change within me as a researcher already.
That's great to know, and congratulations for being accepted, Elsevier.
Hello,
Thank
hello,
you, thank you, thank you so
No
hello.
much.
problem. Hello.
So, so it's Rahat. I'm Rahat from Bangladesh. So I think
Oh,
many
hi.
of you already know me, and so I just want to add something in this. I mean, from Monisha's queries, because I am also doing this coding in the traditional style, because I do not use Atlas TI, even, and I wanted to use Atlas TI once, but sometimes I feel like yes, but my traditional style is more relevant to me. So I can share my screen if you just
Sure,
turn off
sure,
your
sure, sure.
yes,
Of
so I
course,
can
of
show
course.
her what I do actually.
There you go.
Uh, so, so do you see my
Yeah, it is visible.
so so sometimes I I do Excel. I mean, I use the Excel form to coding and for the coding and something like that. But sometimes I do not follow the nitty gritty coding, because uh, that will be very difficult to understand, or I mean understand it, cluster the all these things. Already I have discussed all such things in my session. I mean, in the second session maybe. So so sometimes I do this, like I take the I mean the large clusters and large stories and put them in the separate groups. And also I do this. Let me find the other one. Uh, Sorry, I forgot to.
Uh,
So I think it varies from
yeah,
like person to
person to
person.
person. Yes.
Yeah, like when I see so many columns in a single spreadsheet, I
Yeah.
sometimes get a bit
Yes.
overwhelmed that why so many
Yes.
things are at the same place.
So
So
this is my another style. I just take all these things in a worksheet and then uh, do manually and write the codes beside the, I mean, make codes or something like here. So this is the traditional style. So I do not think like if you follow the traditional things, it also uh, okay. I think because it's up to you. If you are,
yeah,
I mean, if you get bored with the traditional types, then you can switch to some, I mean, some softwares like Atlas or NVivo, or you can go with it. So it's up to you. So just try and do whatever you like. So yeah.
right. Like, thanks for chipping in.
Thank you, Rahab. And thank you, Monisha, for sharing your concern with us. And hopefully, we all could collaborate.
Yeah.
Anik and Rahat and Anurata is always there with us.
Yeah.
So, Deepak, would you love to talk about yourself and then ask your question?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Deepak. I'm a PhD student at IDC School of Design, IIT Bombay. So I have a very basic question on Atlas.ti, and I'm curious to know how does this software work. So does it do only NLP like words matching, or also it does semantic analysis, understanding the meaning and bring out the themes?
Uh,
Oh well, that's an interesting question.
as far as I know, there is no NPL. They just used semantic analysis.
No, for semantic analysis, I mean, for example, let's say in a school studies and your teacher says that I want a beautiful board to teach my students. Okay, so here the beautiful board doesn't mean a very ornamentalized, very aesthetic board, but rather she means that's a clear, clean, and usable board. Okay, so that meaning comes out from that particular sentence. Okay, so whether these kind of meanings, when you take 100 interviews, so some users might have described about boards, and so clean and
Mm-hmm.
usable board is the theme that comes out. So whether these kind of meaning and semantic analysis is being done by Atlas.ti, or how does it work?
Uh, well, I've only used the trial versions. So what I can say from my understanding is I don't think any NLP is applied here or nor any semantic analysis because it's like helping you like shelving them together or clustering them together. So what I understand is whenever you were doing that manual work of clustering some codes together, they are like giving you the results as a chart, you know, or in a single page. So that's how you can see all the findings relevant to that code together. But I don't think any natural language processing is being applied here, or I don't think any other process that actually wants to understand like inherent meaning and like imply something or infer something. I don't think that's possible in here, but I might be wrong because I only use the trial version. So I heard that the complete version has uh, does not come within a limitation and is full of some other resources. So I might be wrong.
Thanks. Thank you. So I have a follow-up questions to this. Like um, in the transcription, I saw it's like interview format. And so, what do you suggest? What kind of interviews is best to do coding with Atlas.ti? Like
Hmm.
structured, semi-structured, contextual inquiry. So we have several interviewing methods. So what do you suggest? What is a good interview to deal with
I
this
think
software?
I think it should depend on the pattern of the study or the nature of the study. I mean, it depends on the research question we want to address and also the goal of our project, I guess. So I think the coding would come naturally because after we have got the transcript of the interview sessions, we can like do it. I mean, code them based on the research questions or the goals. So it's important to actually like find out the exact nature of the study to understand which interview method to apply. That's how I would like to think. Because the semi-structured or the structured unstructured methods, they're all over the places, but you need to, or we need to make sure that we understand the nature of the project or the study to actually see which method would give us the best output. That's how I would like to think.
But if your only aim is to code easily, so you can then go for a structured way, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for your question.
Thank you, Deepak, for your question. Next, we have question from um, Toshuku. Sorry for the pronouncing the name wrong. So I would love you to come introduce yourself and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Raja. And also thank you, Anurata Anik, for that presentation. Um, I would like, my name is Tochukwu. I am a PhD student in Trinity College Dublin. I am also assistant lecturer in one of the university in Nigeria. So I actually have this question to ask. From your slide presentation, you made mention of qualitative research methods. And then you said it's divided into two, the data analysis and data collection. So I would like to understand your recommendation, maybe as regards with research methodology. So which research methodology would you actually recommend when you are working with maybe ML projects in general that require this kind of exploring user input or understanding the major problems they are actually facing based on HCI concept? Because there are a whole lot of research methodologies, even in information communication for technology development, ICT for Dev, ACI for Dev, and the rest of them. So I think they have no actually clear understanding in research methodology towards some of these mHealth projects. So I would like to get all our inputs from this as ACI research students. Thank you.
Thanks. Anik, do you like to answer?
So I think for mobile health HCI related project, you can go for a structured way where you can first make some research question about that system you want to make. So the user will input which will effective for them, effective for them in that question, and then you can get a effective interview answer for them. I think this is the way you can actually do.
Um, yeah, if I might add, like, I what I personally think is that would be really a very tricky question to answer, because the research methodology for mHealth projects, um, I bet it would differ from like regions to regions, because while in the US, the study on the children with autism and about their parents or their teachers were conducted in a pattern or with a research methodology in mind. In Bangladesh, it was conducted differently. So, and again, it might differ based on the age of the participants or the target audience or anything. So what I can say from the top of my head is um, probably it should require attention based on the nature of the study again, because I'm not an expert in health research yet. So it's like probably the the nature of the study could tell us more about what research questions we want to address, and then eventually we can try to figure out which methodology to use. Probably it should be like the interviews or surveys, and the it could be the sampling could be made based on, like, I don't know, maybe based on convenience sampling. And um, what I can say is probably it's again based on the different parameters that are involved in the total study. So I thank you for your question, but I don't really have a definite answer for that. So I might have to like explore myself and then come back to you again to do this, you know. But I
Yeah,
really appreciate you
yeah,
asking that.
So can I add
yeah.
something? Hello.
Okay.
So can I add something on your question?
Yes, please.
Hello. Yeah. So basically, first of all, we did that. I mean, we did in our research that we just understand the phenomenon and then jump into the research and try to design the questionnaire or something like that. But in the last year, we did a different thing. First of all, we went through the scholarly research. I mean, the literature review. What kind of research actually done on particular phenomenon. Then we go through all relevant papers and try to understand what are the missings in our region. Then we made an understanding that yes, we have to go to this age group. I mean, this age range of people, or we have to focus on this part or this part. Like first of all, we did privacy. I mean, I'm a privacy researcher in the privacy aspect. So first of all, we studied the adult person. I mean, those who are actually from after, I mean, more than 18 years. Then when we just understand that we have to break down our research in some different parts, then we go to the scholarly articles and we found that they actually, I mean, the privacy researchers in other region, they actually did research in the I mean, uh, teens, I mean, over the teens who are actually from 12 to 15 years, 15 years and something like that. So then we realized that we have to go down, because in this, I mean, in Bangladesh, this part is completely missing. Then we design questionnaires based on the findings, I mean, based on the findings of their I mean, the published papers, and we tried to follow their patterns and went to the teens, to the schools and colleges. So but after the we actually followed, I mean tried to understood the privacy aspect. But after the research, when we just did the coding and all these things, we found completely different aspects. I mean, there are some relational problem, I mean, relation based problem between parents and children, and lots of that. So you can, I mean, if you want to do research in m health, I mean, m health areas, so maybe you can do that. So what kind of research already published in your areas regarding m health, then you can and what are the methods they follow, and then you can make decision, I think. So I think this helps you.
Yeah,
But
definitely,
I
definitely.
mean, our approach is actually helped a lot, so yeah.
Yeah,
And
like
I heard that
whenever you were doing
some,
the lit review.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you were saying something. So what I meant to say that, yeah, so whenever you were doing the lit review, you already know the gaps, and you already know like the relevant things adopted by the existing literature and the prior works. So from them, you already kind of have an idea, right? But everything actually depends on the population that you are targeting, and the social cultural atmosphere and everything, any other factors. So of course the previous research helps, and the methods adopted in the previous research helps. um, and I would like to add that apart from that, we have to like be sure that we understand what our research or our study actually wants out of it.
Yeah. Actually, thank you so much for
No problem.
that answer. Yeah, I quite agree that it depends on location, because most of this research, the methodology they use in global north is actually quite different from global south. And it also depends on the people that we are working with, and also the researches that I've done on that. Because why I'm throwing up this question is, HCI in global, maybe let me use developing country, is they have not actually created much awareness about the methodology to suit these developing countries. So what we do is we adapt the methodology from the used in developed countries. And when you come to the developing countries, we have different social, cultural, and political factors, different cultural factors. So if we are actually working on maybe projects that deals with different social, political, and cultural factors, there are methodology that we actually think that this should actually work with this, and which is maybe different from the ones in the global north. So that was why I actually decided to ask this question. The answers might not come now, but it's just for us to interest and keep, focus research on this, and then so that when we are working on projects in global south, and then we will also know that, okay, this methodology may be recommended and this one may not also be recommended. So, but as far as I'm concerned, your input is well appreciated and accepted. Thank you so much.
If
Thank you.
also, if Anupriya wants to answer this thing, could also share her own experience in this space, I think would be really
Yeah,
helpful for the community.
yeah. Hi, Pranjal. I was just hearing the conversation, and most of the points were covered. But the last question was definitely a good one, which you raised. But again, I would say I completely agree that in developing countries there is this different angle of culture, politics, gender, stigma, taboo. Again, I would like to comment on, even if you're working in M health domain, the specific domain you are working in. For example, if you're working for heart disease versus you're working for diabetes versus you're working for HIV/AIDS versus you're working for mental illness, that highly will impact the methodology you use depending upon the nature of the subject. Because when you talk about mental illness per se, there is stigma. People will not have open conversation about it. So conducting focus group study, for example, might work and might not work. So again, like Anurata said, that it depends upon the research question what you are doing. And also I would like to add, the nature of the illness, or maybe the nature of the specific domain you are studying would vary. yes, there is no specific methodology as per for developing region or already developed countries, but I think we are borrowing the methodologies from social sciences, right? From medicine. HCI per se does not have its own methodologies, but what we are doing is we are tailoring them to suit our context, right? So there might be research which might be conducted in developing countries or developed countries where that particular topic has similar treatment, uh, which your context also shares. So what you can do is you can read how those folks have addressed or approached that particular subject in their context and develop a learning and try it out. So, and it also depends upon at what point of research you are. Like if you are starting from scratch, or are you trying to engage your users in prototyping, or it depends. So if you're starting your research, you might need to start from ethnography or interviews or maybe discourse analysis, right? Or if you are engaging them in more rigorous participatory design activities, then you have to understand what kind of probes you can use depending upon the stigma and everything, like how the topic is viewed. So it's there is no one direct answer to this question, but yes, reading literature from not only from HCI 4D or per se from ICTD, but from various domains, maybe from medicine. People from that domain might have engaged their users using some particular type of methodology which might have worked for them. So that's what I can say, because that's how I approach. So I work on taboo health topics. Like I have worked with participants suffering from schizophrenia. I work on menstrual health. So it becomes very difficult for me to engage these participants on such topics. And there was no per se as such literature which would explicitly tell me that, this is how I should approach it. But then what I learned from how people are approaching the similar topics in developed nation, I could derive few inferences from them and tailor it according to my needs, depending upon my understanding of the context where I am. I hope this is helpful and I have not confused
Wonderful.
you. Yeah.
No, not at all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, Feel free to pitch in if anyone else has any ideas or
Uh,
want to share what you
sure,
do. What.
Pranjal, before we end, I want to add something. Uh, to be a quality researcher, you need to have a huge patience, because you cannot get enough interview within your time limit. So you need more time than you thought. Uh, as Anurata said, we are not very skilled in this area, but we're trying to learn the art of qualitative coding. Uh, we are here for knowledge sharing. Hopefully, this session helped you. And special thanks to Anurata for your time, though it is awkward time in your zone. And I think you not sleep sufficient time last night. uh,
Oh
Also, I
yes,
want to
I was scared. Like I might not be able to get up, so I prefer not to
and
sleep.
I want to add another thing that next 12th June we have a summer school on how to write a Chi and CSCW paper. I think you people should join the school. So Rahat, can you want to tell something about that?
Um, Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So yes, next week we will have summer school on research methodologies for Chi and CSCW. So already I think Pranjal have shared the website link in the chat box. So if you go to the chat box, Pranjal, would you please go to the home? Home of the website. Yes. Yeah. So so uh, it is not working, I think. So so here I already add the joining information for the summer school. Uh, yes, you just scroll down and you will get the Zoom information. Yeah. So these are the Zoom information. So our summer school will be for I mean, this event is for 2 days, from from 12th and 13th of June. So it will start from 9 a.m. Bangladeshi time, and we just make this summer school as comfortable as possible, because it actually we actually scheduled this summer school for 3 days, and uh, it just got postponed during from March, only because of the COVID-19 situation. So uh, we opened this summer school for all. We can accommodate up to 100 participants. So you just click the information and you can join to the summer school on time. And we will have some marvelous speakers from different areas. So yeah. Uh, so yes. So our speakers are Jackie O'Neill, Ding Wang from Microsoft Research India, and Professor Shayan Sharkar from Tsukuba University, and Dr. Wichin Lee from KAIST. And so the Friday will be the speaker session. So these speakers are actually talk about the qualitative research and quantitative research methods, and definitely participants can join to question answer session. And then in the next day we will have a panel discussion in regarding HCI research, career and future. So these are our panelists. So they're coming from different areas, and they have different disciplines. So I hope everyone should join this panel discussion, and this will be the very uh, nice thing, I think, because for the early researchers, because we will have a scope to question these marvelous researchers. So yeah, so I hope everyone should join our summer school. And so that's it. And if you have this website link, I think Pranjal will share with all of us and his teams. So you will get the joining information there, so no worries, and you don't need any registration for that. So that's it.
Thank you, Rahat. Looking
Yeah.
forward to join on 12th and 13th.
Yes.
So moving on to the closing part for today. Thank you very much, Anik and Anurata, for giving us your time, and thank you especially to Anurata for staying awake in the morning. Hopefully, it has been a useful session for you as well. So I have also shared the link for, so basically 21st of June. So the next week after 12th and 13th, we will take a break. We won't have any session on 21st of June, that is Sunday. Instead of that, we will go and have a session on 28th. And 28th would be our second Kai clinic. So if you go, we are planning to have, so basically the link is also here. So what you guys can do, you could bookmark this particular Excel sheet, a Google sheet in your, whether you're using Firefox, Chrome, anywhere. And we will be updating everything there. And if you want to join any mailing channel or Slack channel or Twitter follow, you could have the link available here. So you could go to this link and register yourself, and about the Zoom and other things. We will in any way send you the mail, and we'll also put things on Slack. And feel free to share any things on the Slack, build and know each other through Slack channel. We are basically South Asian community connecting the Indian subcontinent, uh, HCI and design researchers. So for the 28th, I will put the link here as well. You could, as a mentee, you could register yourself. So we will have ample amount of 2 weeks, and we will try to cover as many presentation on that day. So if you want to know, if you're joining us for the first time, and if you do not know, you could go to this link for and understand how we did last time. And the last time was the first time, and we are thinking to be much more structured this time, and hopefully we will do better. We will also send out the link for the mentors, asking how what is their requirement and how we could do. But in any case, feel free to contact these people uh, on the list of mentors. And if you want to collaborate or anything, we have the email IDs of the people here as well. And these are the 4 people who have already presented on 24th of May, in the green highlighted section. And these presentation, you could get it also. This presentation is also shared. Yeah, presentation, presenter slides. Yeah. So yes, trying to keep everything in this Excel sheet for anyone to look, so you could bookmark these things. The last session presentation, the speaker slide, Dr. Anjum Sheikh is yet to reach us. We have not yet shared that. We should probably do. I think Dr. Anjum Sheikh has not joined today, but we will reach out to him again. So that's all from our side. Thank you very much. I will just stop sharing.
And one thing I have to add that we will not stream our summer school. I mean, for mainly for the Friday, because of the request from the speakers, because they will share some of their intellectual properties. So they just request that do not share this thing to YouTube or Facebook. So that is why I request everyone to join personally to the event. Not wait for the YouTube or Facebook streaming. So yeah.
Sure. What if people have office or something else on that day?
I know you have office, so but
Yeah,
I
sure.
hope you will be
Yeah,
there. So, and we are thinking to stream the panel discussion because there is no, I mean, restrictions. So let's see.
sure, Rahat.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining today. And
Thanks, and keep up the good work, guys. And thanks for having us. And I have shared I have given everyone access to the Atlas.ti project. Those of who given the email address. And hope you enjoy coding in Atlas.ti. And we'll be just an email away if you need us anytime.
thank you, Anurata.
No
Yeah.
And
problem.
thank you to Sayan Saka for every time sharing us this awesome Zoom link. Thank you very much.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, just to know one thing is maybe everyone is leaving. So for the I mean our next Kai clinic, I really hope that people will be at least writing one page what they want to do, at least 1 or 2 weeks before. I hope, really hope that maybe by next week, if they can share the documents. And if they have any question, I mean, you can ask me anytime. I mean, you can ask Pranjal to have my email ID. I think everyone knows my email ID. So if you have any questions regarding qualitative, quantitative, or I don't know how to frame my problem, I mean, so all these points I think you can share. Even Anupriya can help too, and we have a lot of other friends from that. So yeah, so please share if really you want to submit to Kai or some Sikai Venu in this year. So I really look forward to that event because we need to shape those things up. And we are always there to help everyone. Yeah, Anupriya, would you like to add anything?
No, I just like it's better to start early. That's all I
Yeah.
can say. But I realize that things are not the normal way and there is a lot of distress happening at the same time. I would just suggest, take care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy, and then
Yeah,
work.
yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
But still, I
Yeah.
hope that we will get something. Yeah, not
Yeah.
we will get something. Thanks very much. I mean, everyone, and thanks to Pranjal and his team. I mean, every time I should say thanks because it's really a good going things, and I think other Sikkai chapters also could learn from here. So really, yeah, student chapter. So really, really appreciate it. Great job. Okay, thank you, and thank you,
Thank
Anurata
you.
and
Thank
Anik
you.
again.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Rahat,
you.
for sharing everything. So everyone, thanks.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
No,
Take care.
thank you guys again. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.